following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And here we are for another week of Mick Shots. Bill Jones with Everson Walls and Mickey Spagnola back home in his SWBC mortgage studio at Ford Center at the Star in Frisco.
Back
it's
home.
Like, yes, it's Mickey, did you spend your whole holiday there at the SWBC mortgage studio?
I am proud to say that I was here on Friday, but not Saturday and Sunday.
There you go. All right. So your Thanksgiving holiday consisted of a normal weekend, a Saturday and Sunday off. Of course, you spent Thursday at AT&T Stadium, and maybe we won't have to talk about that for very long here on this edition of Mick Shots, but we've got so much to get to since we last convened. Everson, how was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was kind of normal, except for the depressed part of it, you know. Everything was fine before 3:30, and then all of a sudden, things just went downhill. My weekend was just as average as any, trying to play it safe. So, you know, I'm kind of in a brooding mood right now. That's why I brought my hoodie. You know,
I saw that.
I'm all in. You know what I'm saying? Still all in, but nonetheless brooding. Can I take that stance?
I can totally understand that.
When he showed up with the hood on,
all right.
I thought maybe he was doing it with the windows open outside.
Well, you got to have proper ventilation here in these COVID days.
That's right.
And so I would advise everyone, even if it's
Airflow.
40 outside like today, keep those windows open. We want good ventilation. All right, Mickey, there's so
Yes.
much to get to. Where should we start on this edition of Mick Shots? What do you think?
Bill, last time we talked was Wednesday, right? So much has taken place, not only with the Cowboys on the football field, not only with Cowboys strength and conditioning coach Markus Paul passing away after our show, and then all the stuff that's happening in the league, along with the Cowboys Thursday night game being pushed back to the following Tuesday. I'll leave it up to you, since you're steering this ship, where you want to exactly start this thing, because a lot of this is tied together too, by the way.
Yep, that's exactly right. Well, how about we start with Markus Paul, because on Friday morning I taped the Mike McCarthy show, and I got the feeling, and of course he did a media availability, I think, Friday morning too,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
yes.
And I got the feeling that he had basically spent, and by then even though it hadn't been officially announced yet, I think he pretty much knew that the game against the Ravens was going to get pushed back. So he didn't have to do the normal things that he would do on a normal work week, which is what it would have been had the game still been played on Thursday. And so I think he spent a good portion, if not all of the morning, on Friday morning, taking in phone calls, because a lot of people knew that, he obviously had a game on Thursday, and they didn't call about Markus until Friday morning. And so I think, and he talked with I believe the family on Friday morning and so forth. And I think that is, it's at a point after all that had transpired in the previous 72 hours that you sit there and you just, you reflect on what's happened, and in fact, he apologized at the end of a taping of the Mike McCarthy show that he just didn't have the energy. I said, I didn't either. I mean, none of us had energy after that, and so I can only imagine what those close to the family are still going through, and for the players too, as we talked about last week. The players are very close. We're very close to Markus, and it's natural, probably as close as any coach to the team. Leighton Vander Esch talked about it, especially for him. he had been side by side with him throughout the offseason because coming off of surgery, he could be at the Star when he wasn't back home in Idaho. And so, anyway, that's kind of where it was on Friday.
Yeah, and it was even emotional, draining. I think after we got the word here, when the the statement came out, it was about 5:45 on Wednesday, and you were just kind of waiting to see. And then after, the game and going over everything the guys said, Mike McCarthy said on his press conference, Jerry said when he did his radio interview, and I got charged with writing about Markus for the upcoming game day magazines. And I'll tell you what, guys, and I sort of wrote the story from the aspect of, after I read all this stuff that came out about him, all the tweets from Syracuse, the university, from the former assistant coach Randy Edsall, who recruited Markus to Syracuse, to Daryl Johnston, who I didn't put two and two together. They were teammates and co-captains their senior year there in '88, to the Giants coming out with statements and all the people that he had touched. I was sitting there going, I feel cheated because I didn't get to know him that well. But I felt like I got to know him by listening to everybody else react to him. And by the time I got done with that, I was emotionally drained from just going through the whole thing and kind of reliving it and seeing how much he meant to so many different people in so many different walks of life, to the point that, he was a teammate of Ron Rivera's at Washington. And he had to coach the game on Thursday, and it sounded like they were pretty close. And even in the pregame show on Thursday, Michael Strahan talking about how they were ride buddies to the airport for the away games, that they spent that time together. And he goes, and if you know about your ride buddy to the airport, you end up being pretty close. So it was just amazing how many people he touched in his not only professional playing career, but when he became strength and conditioning assistant at New Orleans, followed Mike Wojcik to New England. He was with the Jets. And then I guess what I missed was that he spent 11 seasons with the Giants and won 2 Super Bowls with them, 3 with the New England. And Pat Hanlon, who's their vice president of communications, had a couple of tweets that were very heartfelt. And, it was amazing how many people he touched. But as you said, Bill, strength and conditioning coaches, they touch everybody.
In fact, one guy that I got a text from was who I hadn't put 2 and 2 together at all on it, but it's just sort of an example of, you don't realize how close the fraternity is if you haven't been in that fraternity like Everson has been in. A friend of mine, Brian Jones, who works for CBS Sports, college football analyst, he texted me back last week asking me what I knew about his condition and so forth, and I was like, so how do you know him? And he was with the Saints, and when Markus Paul was with the Saints 20 years ago, before he was with the Patriots, remember Wojcik was with the Saints for a short time, and so he was his assistant there with the Saints. So that's how he got to know him, and Brian said he's one of the greatest guys that he met in his entire time in the NFL.
And, a couple of things in regards to what you just mentioned, Bill. You are so right. Just being an athlete, going through the league and however many years you're blessed to go through it. And if you're blessed to play with several teams, then you're going to have a connection in some kind of way. There's always going to be a 6 degree of separation. And that's just as a player. And he continued to be part of different staffs even after he played. And that really solidified his relationship throughout the entire NFL with whoever he touched. And I'm sorry, I don't know her name, but his daughter, Spags, what's her name?
Tabitha.
Man, she really personalized everything for us with the words, her words of hope, and just her words of love, and in recollecting what her father meant to her, and also what he meant to so many other people. So I thought Tabitha's addition to this entire emotional experience, I just thought it kind of topped it off in the right way, to where, yes, it's a game, but right now this is someone's father who's going through this, and so that family had my prayers, and I'm sure everyone else's, and really that's what's more important here than anything else.
And by the way, she posted Friday or Saturday that her dad was an organ donor and saved 4 people's lives.
That's right. I saw that. I saw that, Bill.
Thanksgiving Day, basically.
Wow, I didn't see that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And the thing that it kept coming out about him was that he was such a sweet person, and he was always nice around here. And my only interaction would be passing him at the training table during lunch, and always a smile on his face, always kind of upbeat and moving quickly. And I wish I could remember who said this, but they talked about what a nice guy he was, but in the job he was in and so close to the players, being nice was one thing, but also figured out how to be tough to get guys to do what he wanted them to do. And that's not an easy juggling act a lot of times for those guys in that position, because, again, off season, he's the head coach, right? He's in charge, because the coaches aren't allowed to be around the players during that part of the off season workouts and training. And it sounded like, the guys and all they had to say after the game, and the fact that I think a couple things stood out. It looked like part of the team meeting Wednesday night, Mike McCarthy let the guys stand up and say what they had to say about him, whoever wanted to talk. And then, before the game, after they finished their pregame warm-up, they all gathered in a big circle, basically kneeling, and it looked like Sean Lee was kind of in charge of saying something, holding hands. And then the other thing I noticed, guys, before the game, and I don't think this might have gotten on television, but before they started the tribute on the big video board, the offensive linemen, the whole group towed the line together. They were the only ones there before the start of it, like they were braced for it. And after the tribute, they kind of went in a circle and they hugged each other and went around. And it was like, oh my God, you guys are going to break my heart, And so there was a lot of outpouring of emotion. And the thing that kind of occurred to me. If you count 53 guys on the roster, you got 16 guys on the practice squad, you got however many guys that are injured reserve, and I counted it all up, and it got into the 70s, high 70s, and I wanted to see how many guys were no more than 25 years old, and I counted 49. 49. And think about when you were 25, people close to you other than maybe your grandparent, they didn't pass away. You were young and they were young. And for these guys to have to deal with somebody that close to them passing away less than 24 hours before kickoff, I'm sure it was a very, very tough emotionally time for them that night, and even before the game started. And I'm not saying it affected how they play, because those guys came out and played hard. But just to have to go through that at a young age is very tough.
And something else about that, Spags, when you think about society today, everything is just more public. It's just the way it is. It's hard enough having to deal with the loss of a loved one privately, but that's something that you can compartmentalize maybe easier, because you don't have to necessarily share it with everyone. But when it's an effort where everyone's involved, it can be taxing. It can be emotionally taxing. It's like being at a funeral. You really don't, the emotions don't come out until you're around all of the sadness and the emotion. So when everyone, around the sports world and everyone's commenting on it, now it's out there in public. And to have to deal with something like that, like you said, at such a young age, and then, you mentioned just everything that's going on in 2020. It's it's a lot to deal with, and I feel for these young guys, but they got to get through it.
Well, I think that we talk a lot of times about the bye week, whether it came at a good time or not. The postponement of this game came at a good time. Being able to give them a long weekend here and postponing it to where they didn't have to be back. They're not back into practice until Wednesday,
right?
And with the game pushed back till Monday, and that still gives them an extra day to prepare for the Ravens. And Ravens play a game on Tuesday night with what's left of the Ravens due to COVID.
We think
what they're going through right now. Yeah, we think there's a game Tuesday night. In fact, the
at
league
least they'll have a quarterback, right? At least they'll have a quarterback.
Yeah. So when we come back, there's so much to get to in terms of whether a team has quarterbacks or not, whether the Ravens can play, and so much more. But right off the top, I thought it's appropriate for us to talk about Markus Paul and let the Paul family know our thoughts and prayers are with them as they go through this time. Mick Shots continues here in just a moment.
Hey there, Cowboys fans. With Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery, cleaning your clothes has never been more convenient. Simply sign up at your local store, set out your dirty clothes, and one of our Tide Cleaners professionals will come directly to your home for a totally contactless experience. Your clean garments will be returned promptly the next scheduled delivery day, so skip the errand and enjoy life, not laundry. Visit TideCleaners.com or your local store to sign up for Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery today.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Grab some OtterBox gear and get ready for hanging with the boys. From rugged venture coolers to tough as nails elevation tumblers, we've got what you need to keep your game day drinks frosty and your football feast ice cold. And with cases, screen protectors, and power accessories, you can defend your phone and stay connected to every play. Gear up at OtterBox.com and amp up the fun of every Cowboys game. That's OtterBox.com.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Ah, music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
Back to Mick Shots.
Well, I'm looking through our live reads trying to figure out which one would be appropriate for today, and the Washington one would not be. So let's go to the Star District. Looking for something to change up your dinner routine? Help support local Frisco businesses by choosing one of over 30 restaurants at the Star District. For information on delivery, takeout, curbside pickup, and dine-in availability, visit thestardistrict.com. Welcome back to Mick Shots. Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola. So, Mickey, for your read coming up here, you're going to have to find something other than the Star District to talk about.
And unfortunately, I think those were forwarded to me, and I forgot all about them over the weekend.
Oh.
That's why you didn't have one.
Okay. That's
My
right.
bad.
And so I looked at, I'll look at Monday last week. Oh, we got single game tickets for Washington. You know, which brings us to the San Francisco 49ers, who the Cowboys will play on December 20th. They got a little issue there in Santa Clara, California, where they cannot play any football games there. They got 2 home games the next couple of weeks. And apparently the 49ers have reached an agreement with the Arizona Cardinals to host their next 2 games against Buffalo and Washington at State Farm Stadium there in Phoenix, which is now what they call the Dome Stadium there in Phoenix that the Cardinals play in. So I guess the Cardinals must be on the road the next 2 weeks. And I was thinking, Mickey, that it would be, and I looked up, Arizona is not allowing fans in the stands now. There for a little while they were, but the COVID outbreak has hit Arizona to the point where they did not allow fans in the stands for the latest Cardinals game, nor would they for San Francisco. But I was thinking what the Niners ought to do is come here to Arlington, and seeing as how they play the Cowboys, the 3rd game down the road, they could host their 2 home games this Monday night. It's scheduled for Monday against Buffalo, and then the following Sunday against Washington, and then they would play the Cowboys the following Sunday, and they could just set up shop here for a couple of weeks and work out at Globe Life Park, the Rangers' old baseball park, which has now been converted to football. They'd have their own locker room. They stay at the Omni. Would have been a great little bubble for them, but they've decided to go to Arizona instead. And the key on it would be they would be able to play in front of as many fans as they bought tickets, up to what Cowboys have had 30,000 in there. But they decided to go the Arizona route instead.
Wow, we've had 30,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's tough.
It's a big stadium.
It better be.
That only fills
a lot of real estate in there.
That only fills a third of it. So it was 30,088, I think, on Thanksgiving. So yeah.
Have they opened the suites back up yet?
Some of the suites, I think people had the right to use their suites. A lot of them remained empty. And remember, the way they sold tickets, it was like, I think season ticket holders had the right to purchase tickets to 2 games. And then after that, it was general public. But there was rules that, if you bought 4 tickets, then it had to be 4 people sitting together. You can't, sell them to some stranger. It had to be the people in your group. So I don't know how well they can enforce that. But, yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, man, it was weird last night or yesterday watching the game, the Packers and the Bears, with nobody, or there was a smattering of a few people at Lambeau Field to watch that game. That was strange.
Mm-hmm. I would think from the 49ers perspective on that, if you could pre-sale tickets and you knew in advance it was going to happen, I mean, how many fans... people are hungry for football, but could you get 25 or 30,000 for a Niners-Bills game here, a Niners-Washington game here? It's pretty tough to sell that many tickets in that amount of time.
Yeah, no,
you wouldn't. I can't see that.
Yeah,
no.
and you just wouldn't do it.
And the other part of that is, who is going to handle the cost of staffing it and everything? So from the Niners' perspective, they probably would just say, hey, it's a loss. We're not getting fans in the stands. We might lose money if we took on that assignment. Well, you got to have more staff that comes here to handle it, or you hire people here to handle it. They may have just said, you know what, it's easier to just do this Arizona thing.
From a travel standpoint, it probably was easier. They could have played the game at Globe Life Park if they needed to.
They could.
The
they had that option too. They could go outdoors there. That's right.
I don't
because there's boxing there. There's boxing at AT&T Stadium Saturday. So
I don't think they want to stay in Dallas for 3 weeks, Bill. That would be tough. Just being a 49er. I don't think they feel very comfortable no matter where they went.
Well, they're going to have to go someplace because they can't practice at their place in Santa Clara.
They can't practice either?
No contact, anything.
I don't think even high school sports are being played.
They canceled everything.
In the area as well.
I knew that. And in fact, in California, high school sports was put on the back burner till the spring.
Yeah, Shanahan wasn't real happy with the NFL or with the county.
Yeah, and they didn't communicate with them ahead of time.
They found out when they were on the flight to the Rams game that's what was going to take place. You think that was a distraction? But they ended up winning the game.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to.
Speaking of the game,
what do you want to go to Thursday's game or yesterday's in the NFL?
I would go to Thursday's game.
Let's go Thursday's game. This is our first chance to talk about it. How about we start with Everson? I saw a tweet from Everson at one point.
Thank you. Hold on, let me get ready. Hold on. All right, here we go.
He's going
okay,
rogue.
now
He's
what
going
All right, Everson. 3 days later. What are we, 3 days later? Is it still stuck in your craw what happened on Thursday?
4 days later.
You know, I have to admit, as a guy that, was a former player, there's certain commentary that, comes from there, But watching that game, when I watch the games, my emotion comes as a fan. I've been a fan since I was, born. Been through the whole Hail Marys, all of that. Played with them, hated them when I had to leave, and then my family brought me back. So I'm watching the game as a fan, and I'm pretty sure it's uncomfortable around me when it's a game like this one. Because, I just turned into my dad. I just start coaching almost every play. It just becomes kind of ridiculous to watch. And so I saw how, as Spag said, they came out so strong. They came out very determined and inspired, actually, is what I saw. And then all of a sudden, the coaches got involved. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I couldn't help but tweet a couple of things. The fake punt, those things that it almost showed me, I don't know if it showed me, but it hinted to me that McCarthy is in panic mode right now. I didn't think it was panic time yet. I know he was trying to be aggressive. I get all of that, but when you look at the way this ball game was being played up until the point to where we start shooting ourselves in the foot, I thought that we had a great chance to win this ball game. I thought the guys had played well and they deserved to win this ball game up until the disappointments started. And yes, Spags, I know what coaches always say, and I'm part of that fraternity as well. Any play can work as long as you run it right, okay? But, then there's the whole analytics side of it, such as you don't go for a 4th and 1 on your own 9-yard line, so to speak. And I'm just speaking in generalities at this point. So I just don't think you gamble so much when you have a game that is still fully intact and that you have a chance to win.
I think, and I was torn on Thursday when I was writing my column between being too cute and being too desperate. And I think desperation had set in if you look at how the game was going. I know they stopped Washington the previous possession, and they got the interception. But think about this. The interception gave you 1st and goal at the 4, and your offensive line was such a mess, you ended up having to kick a field goal from the 6 because you couldn't gain a yard. And I think this was starting to weigh on him, like, I don't know if we're going to be able to score and we're going to run out of possessions. And while they said, yeah, they stopped him, but if you look at what happened from the second quarter on, it was field goal for Washington, touchdown, end of half, field goal, interception, and then they finally forced them to punt for the first time since the first possession. And the Cowboys were sitting there, field goal at the end of the half when they got to the 20-yard line and couldn't get closer. Then they come out, they fumbled the first possession of the second half, and then it was downs, and then it was field goal, right, from the 4-yard line, or I'm sorry, it was fumble, punt, field goal from the 4. And I think he was just starting to say, we're not getting anywhere and we're not doing a real good job stopping their running game. That's the only way. And he finally kind of said it on Friday in his conference call that you have to, as a head coach, kind of judge the flow of the game. And even Jerry Jones said it on Friday morning. He said we were teetering, and they kind of were. Now, I understand where they were at, and even if they picked it up, it certainly didn't guarantee that you were going to go down and score, right? And and he said I don't call a game from the negative, which means if we don't get this, here's what we're going to give up, right? And the unfortunate thing is that you were relying on a wide receiver who had been a quarterback in high school to make 2 reads. And when he made the first read, he didn't ever got to the second. Because if you go back and look at that play, boy, C.J. Goodwin down the field is wide open. But he never, he is. I don't even think he looked, because he tucked the ball like this was a running play the whole time. And I don't even know if he
because he was intent on throwing it as soon as he got it,
right,
like you said, to that first read.
He was going to throw it to Nicewander, and the guy out there didn't go. He stood and hung in there instead of following C.J. Goodwin, who was the gunner. But C.J. Goodwin, I wrote it down when Wilson, when Cedric Wilson, he was at his 13. Goodwin was wide open at the 42. I mean, wide open. They just forgot about him. And so, yeah, it was a gamble, but they would have had the ball at midfield if it had worked. Unfortunately, it didn't. And then one play later, and I keep hearing this, but if you go back and look at the play, when Gibson ran the next one in for a touchdown, the Cowboys didn't give up. I just thought they were in another bad alignment with how they play on that offensive line or defensive line with only one linebacker in a linebacker position. One linebacker in a linebacker position and
6
one
DBs
safety.
on the field.
Yeah, and one safety. Deep. That was it. Mm-hmm. So all they had to do was block that side of the line, and there's no way that Van Der Esch could get there because they had Jalen Smith, I believe it was, on the line of scrimmage, or it was just Jalen Smith as the linebacker. So they didn't
And you're talking
up.
on the 37-yard run.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about the 37-yard run, not the 23-yarder right after the fake punt.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and in that situation, there's 3 minutes or so left in the game. It's 3rd and 6 at the 37-yard line. It's a 27-16 lead for Washington. They are not throwing the football there. Okay,
right.
They may give it a look but they are running the football.
They never really threw the football well the entire game, Bill.
And why you would be in a dime defense, and you have your one linebacker that's on the field is up on the line of scrimmage. It was just, there's no little wonder that the Red Sea opened for the running back right there on that play.
And Everson's right, because I went back and counted it up. If you count Terry McLaurin, and this was funny. Somebody this morning said, "Can you name a wide receiver on Washington other than Terry McLaurin?" And
other than McLaurin,
I couldn't do it. And it was Inman and Sims, right? But if you take McLaurin's receiving yards along with Gibson's, the tight end Thomas, the running back McKissick, those guys totaled 154 of the 177 yards passing. So everything Alex Smith was doing was little dump-offs, little hooks, except for the pass that McLaurin kind of got him on the 28. It was a was it a 28-yard, the touchdown pass? But that was it. They were nibbling. So why are you playing the way you were when they were just going to run the ball? And this is nothing new, right? We've said this before, playing that nickel and playing that dime when teams are kind of in running situations. And that part is the part I still don't understand.
Yeah. Well, here's my thing, Bill. I have to say this. Last Sunday, we were just all over the coaching staff for the great adjustments that they made. I don't know if them staying in our nickel package and being able to control Cook the way they were that Sunday. I think that gave him a little confidence that they still could stop the Redskins with the dime package. I don't know why they continue to do that. But even when you look at the lack of defensive adjustment, because they came out running the ball from the get, and they never disguised anything about what they were trying to do. They ran it the entire time, and when you looked at the passing yardage, I think at one time in the first half, Alex Smith may have had 58 yards passing, maybe 75 yards passing, something very minimal to where I'm not even going to put an extra defensive back in the ball game if that's all they're going to try and do to throw the ball. The second thing is we've got our defensive coordinator, our offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore. I get it, Spags. You've got 2 offensive linemen hurt. I can't even recall if they were hurt yet before we got into that scoring position.
They were
but
hurt.
You still have to. I'm sorry.
They were.
Well, here's my thing. You still have to attempt to run it in, Spags. You can't just say, oh, well, here we go. They've got 5 first-rounders on the front, so let's not even try to run it. We got too cute too soon. To me, you got to be solid, okay?
Oh, you're talking about the first series of the game.
I'm talking about the first series of the game. You do not give up on the running play. I don't care how many times you're in that red zone. If you're inside the 10-yard line, then to me, this Dallas Cowboy team, they need to try and establish a running presence at that time. You can get cute sometimes and it works. That depends on what the defense you're playing against. The Washington football team, I almost said it. The Washington football team, yes, they have the best front line you've seen. So you're not going to have time for a bunch of junk and cute stuff. You have to come with the bread and butter. You have to run the ball as best you can. Yes, Zeke fumbled the ball again, but that had nothing to do with blocking. I'm talking about a guy that was hungry enough to where I think we could have gotten him in the end zone if we would have stuck with that game plan instead of relenting and trying to be more finesse.
Well,
all right, we got to take a break.
Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
Sorry about that.
I'll bring this up when we come
Hold
back.
that thought.
I got it.
All right.
And I won't
just
forget
a moment here on Mick Shots. All right, back in a moment.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Ah, music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
Dear, it's 1908. Don't you think we should get electricity?
And stop using candles to see at night.
It's just electricity lights up the room fast. It's more reliable than candles blowing out, and people seem to love it nationwide.
Well, candles are...
Dear, did you just run into the wall?
Nope. May I have a new candle, please?
Historically, switching to new technology is a no-brainer. Today, it's AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure, and nationwide. Switch to AT&T 5G. It's not complicated. 5G requires compatible plan. May not be in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cowboy fans, Black Friday kicks off at the Dallas Cowboys Pro Shops with up to 40% of new gear. The Pro Shop has a huge selection of cold weather gear and the hottest holiday gifts. 'Tis the season for football and holiday fun. Visit your local Dallas Cowboys Pro Shop or shop.dallascowboys.com to shop all the holiday savings.
Well, you got that part right.
All right, Mickey.
Yes.
Don't forget what you were going to say.
Yes.
Don't forget what you were going to say.
So the first possession, when the Cowboys had to kick a field goal, they were 1st and 10 at the 20. They ran Pollard, got all of 2 yards. 2nd and 8, I thought it was a neat call. It was a tight end screen to Schultz. They only got 3 yards. And then on 3rd and 5 at the 15, obviously you're throwing the ball, right? But he tried to throw that slant down the slot to Coop, and I'm not sure what happened there. If he just missed him or Coop didn't see the ball. And then when they got down to the goal line, after the interception return, it's 1st and goal at the 4. They tried to run Zeke. He barely got the handoff because the offensive line broke down, and he ended up losing. 2 yards. And then he basically threw the touchdown pass to CD in the end zone, and he drops it. It was a little high, but I think he catches that, right? And then the third
Nah, you gotta catch that.
And then the third
CD will not. CD won't even accept that excuse for himself.
Right, and he didn't either, by the way. And then 3rd and goal at the 6, they tried that smoke screen because he didn't think his offensive line could hold up. And I think a lot of what happened in that game and decisions were made was because they lost their starting 2 offensive tackles, especially Zach Martin, on that first possession. And they just couldn't hold up. I just think trying to run the ball too much in those situations, they couldn't run it and they couldn't protect. So I don't know what you do, and that's why I think he gambled. And the first gamble, by the way, on the 4th down pass to CD, how does that guy miss the interference? It was so blatant that he got interfered.
Oh my God!
I mean, he about strangled him, right? And he hit him way before the ball got there. How do you miss that?
I told you we always get the COVID teams. They're the one. They're referees in training. We get the worst teams every week. I'm sorry, just the way it is.
And I wrote down the guy's number. It was 116. I told Bill, and now I finally looked at my flip card. Mike Weatherford was the guy on that side of the field. How do you miss that call? I don't understand it. That's why you need a sky
I will
judge,
say this.
You could at least throw a flag.
All right. Do you know why the fake punt didn't work, in my opinion?
I can't wait.
I've got an opinion. I got 2 opinions why, but go ahead.
Well, they had it pretty figured out from the get-go, right?
Yes.
All right. I think the Cowboys have run so many fake punts that in special teams meetings each week, the one theme of special teams meetings each week is watch out for the fake punt. This team might run a fake punt from its own 10-yard line. And so the element of surprise is totally gone. You are not going to surprise any team with a fake punt.
And that's okay, Bill. That's okay. It's good to be known as a team that's not just going to line up with the same old status quo. You love that because now you've got them. They're not necessarily alert. Sometimes you have them on their heels.
And now they don't have the punt return on, and so they're going to fair catch it, okay? Because they're watching for the
exactly.
For the fake punt. You're going to get the total distance out of your punt now, okay?
We dictate how that situation's going to go. So to me, I get it. People are hurt. Yeah, we're flailing at this point. But you don't just throw, what do they say, throw out the baby with the bathwater? You can't do that. You still have to punt that ball. That doesn't mean we just say, oh, well, let's just forget conventional football here now. Let's just start doing anything. Who was that to say it's all willy-nilly? No, let's not go willy-nilly yet.
And how about,
let's still be a professional football team that has still a chance defensively to make some plays.
And so then how about
the defense
defensively?
is just going to go out and give it up. That means the defense might go out there and make a play for you and put you in position to score.
Exactly. And make Alex Smith beat you. Okay, load up and stop that run and see if Alex Smith can be Patrick Mahomes. I don't think he can be.
Because I tell you what you saw defensively from them, they knew, as Spags said, you can't protect, you can't run. We're still trying to run our conventional pass routes on a secondary that is squatting down on every route that was run. So to me, that's where you get the willy-nilly going. If you want to gamble, then that's where you have some deep passes that are disguised from what you normally run. Trust me, it works. I've gotten toasted several times while jumping short routes. I know it can happen. It happens to the best of us. To me, that's where you start to gamble. You can't go into a shell offensively, but yet when it comes to special teams, you want to gamble away any opportunity you might have and stand in the ball game. I think they got a little twisted in that regard.
All right, Mickey, you got the final word here.
Oh, damn. I tried to talk it out. My bad. I didn't talk long enough.
Well, since it's called Mick Shots, I thought I'd give him the final word.
Okay. Fine.
I just think that, as I said, they got desperate. And I understand that you probably don't want to take that chance at your own, where were they, the 23-yard line or so?
Man, I don't think I've ever seen that happen before.
24-yard line. But that's why the surprise was supposed to get them. Who in the world would do that?
Oh, wow.
You know what?
Out of time.
It's like whatever can go wrong is going to go wrong with this team, from injuries to play calls.
When I saw the two guys go down, I thought of you, Spags. When I saw Irvin and Doug go down, Martin go down, that was it.
And I kept
and by the way, they are out multiple weeks.
Yeah, and I kept qualifying it because it was like, this is going to be the first consecutive weeks with the same five in the same game in the same spot, right? And I kept saying,
it didn't even take one quarter. It didn't even take one quarter, man.
They won series.
Maybe we can get through the national anthem this time. And they did.
Oh, my God.
They had him for 6 plays.
Yes.
Wow.
They had him for 6 plays.
Unbelievable.
All right, that does it for Mick Shots. We'll talk at you again tomorrow, live at 1:30 on Mick Shots.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.